Welcome back to the deep dive. We spent a lot of time looking at, the specific tools and ideas of Stoicism. But today, we're stepping back a bit.
Hmm.
We're looking at the commitment itself. Because look, anyone who studies Stoicism runs into this figure, right? The Stoic Sage.
Ah, yes, the sage, the perfect being.
Exactly, this completely rational, totally virtuous person. And honestly, it can feel, well, impossible, maybe even a bit discouraging.
It really can.
Yeah.
And that's a common reaction.
So the question is, should we feel like we're set up to fail before we start? Or is there another way to look at this ideal? Something practical, something sustainable for a whole life?
That's precisely the nut we need to crack today.
Yeah.
Because, the Stoics themselves, they knew this ideal was, well, sky high.
They did.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So our mission here is to sort of push past that feeling of intimidation. We need to draw a really clear line between perfection, the sage ideal, which, let's be honest, the sources say isn't actually found in the real world, and progress.
Huh.
They had a word for it, prokopê. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's what's actually attainable for, students of this philosophy.
Prokopê.
Progress.
Right. So we're diving into the texts, Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and also looking at how modern scholars understand it. How do they define this ongoing commitment? It's a journey you practice at every single day, not some finish line way off in the distance.
And we've got some really core material for this dive. We'll be looking at Epictetus's lectures, Seneca's letters, very personal stuff there, Marcus Aurelius's private thoughts, and insights from scholars like Becker and Long, who really help unpack the mechanics of Stoic ethics.
Foundational stuff, absolutely.
Okay, so let's start with that ideal, the theoretical baseline. If the sage is the goal and virtue is the only good, what's the actual task? What's the one big thing a Stoic is supposed to dedicate their life to?
Yeah.
Because just saying be good, well, that's a bit vague, isn't it? It is. And the sources, especially when you look at how someone like Lawrence Becker analyzes them, they lay out a philosophical imperative that's, well, it's pretty radical in its focus.
How so?
The core requirement, the absolute must-do, is to take solely the perfection of how you exercise your own agency, your choices, your reasoning, as the single most important controlling endeavor in your life. Period.
Solely. Just that. That's
Wow.
bold. Especially when everything around us screams, optimize your career, your health, your bank account. Why does it have to be internal agency?
Well, the Stoic logic is quite rigorous here.
Hmm.
Agency, for them, it means your ability to choose based on, all things considered, practical reasoning, what makes the most sense overall.
Okay.
Now, if you try to optimize for external things, money, maybe, or a specific job, or even, say, a political outcome, your reasoning gets messy. Because those things aren't fully yours. They're dependent on luck, on other people, on things you just can't control.
Right, they're continuing.
Exactly. So your reasoning becomes flawed or compromised by circumstances. But if you focus only on perfecting your internal ability to reason well and choose virtuously, no matter what's happening outside, then you achieve what Becker calls global optimization.
Ah, okay. So global optimization isn't about getting rich or famous. It means if your internal engine is running perfectly, then whatever happens, rich or poor, sick or healthy, the outcomes of everything you try to do will be as good as they possibly can be across your whole life.
Precisely. It's about guaranteeing internal excellence, your best possible response, regardless of the external results. The Stoics believe that any healthy person, really thinking clearly, would logically see that virtue is the only true good. Why?
Because it's the only thing completely internal, untouchable by external events.
You got it. It's unassailable. And it's necessary for your agency, your reasoning faculty, to even function properly. So you have to prize it beyond comparison. Anything else you aim for, if it competes with perfecting your own reason and virtue, it introduces flawed thinking. It actually undermines the whole project of living well.
That leads us right to the big V word, virtue. Arato. It sounds so, formal. Maybe even a bit moralistic in English today. What do the Greeks and Romans actually mean by it?
Yeah, it does sound a bit, as Fideler puts it, stuffy and Victorian, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But originally, arto just meant goodness, or maybe better, excellence. It's functional.
Functional. How so?
Think of it like this. The sources give simple examples. The arato, the excellence of a good nice, isn't its looks, it's that it cuts well.
Right.
It performs its function perfectly.
Okay. Makes sense.
Or the arto of a racehorse is being strong and fast. It's fulfilling its potential as a horse.
I like that. It makes virtue sound less like piety and more like peak performance. So apply that to humans. Our defining thing is rationality, reason. What does human arto look like?
For humans, virtue means acting rationally, reasonably, honorably. Basically, developing a good, stable character.
Hmm.
And the hallmark of that character, equanimity, that inner balance where you're not constantly thrown off course by external events or wild emotions.
So it's about using our core function reason to its absolute fullest potential.
Exactly. You're operating at peak human function.
And this isn't just some arbitrary self-help goal, right?
Yeah.
It connects to their view of the universe.
Absolutely crucial point. It's not arbitrary at all. The Stoics saw the cosmos itself as being permeated by logos, this universal rationality, intelligence, order. Our human reason is like a spark, a fragment of that cosmic logos.
Wow. So acting virtuously is aligning ourselves with the universe.
In a way, yes. It's aligning your own inner rational structure with the rational structure you see in the laws of nature and the way the world works.
That's a pretty big idea. But okay, bring it down to earth. What does that mean for someone listening right now, maybe stuck in traffic, not exactly contemplating cosmic laws?
Well, it grounds the whole practice. If the universe runs on reason, then a lot of our suffering comes from fighting that reality, right? So trying to control things we can't, wishing the world was different than it is.
Yeah.
So having virtue, living with orthotia, means living consistently with nature, accepting its rules, including the big rule. Externals are not up to us. And that's the bridge from the grand cosmic ideal to just accepting the traffic jam.
Okay, that definition of the ideal, this perfectly rational person in sync with cosmic reason, it's impressive, but again, it brings us back to the problem. It feels impossible. We know the sage isn't real, not exemplified in the actual world, so how do the Stoics actually bridge that gap? This is where it gets really interesting for me.
Right, and they bridge it squarely with prokopê, progress. The minute someone like Epictetus stops describing the theoretical sage and starts teaching actual students, his aim shifts completely. His goal and theirs becomes simply progress.
Just moving forward.
Just moving forward. It's all about the commitment to the journey itself. A. Long makes this point really well. He says, Stoicism becomes a practice you have to practice at. Like a musician practices scales or athlete trains.
You don't fail because you haven't won the gold medal yet.
Exactly. You succeed because you showed up to practice today. You got a little bit better, a little bit stronger.
I really like the practical advice on this. Seneca, especially in his letters, seems to focus purely on these small, relative steps, not some absolute perfection.
He's incredibly specific about it. He literally says, don't demand that I should be equal to the best, but better than the worst. He's not comparing himself to, some legendary hero like Cato.
He's comparing himself to himself yesterday.
Precisely. His own past behavior. He says it's enough if every single day you just reduce the number of your vices, maybe correct a few mistakes. That's the win for the day.
That completely changes the game, doesn't it? It shifts the metric from this impossible external standard to an internal, achievable one. It takes the pressure off.
Totally removes the discouragement factor.
Yeah.
The metric is internal, and crucially, it's measurable, at least to yourself. Did I lose my temper today when yesterday I managed not to? Did I gossip today? Did I hold on to resentment?
It's about the daily effort.
Yes. Seneca's insistence that we make full use of each day as it comes really hammers home that progress is built moment by moment, choice by choice.
But, okay, if this is a journey of constant training, constant self-improvement, it shouldn't feel easy, should it? The sources seem to suggest the instruction itself is meant to be uncomfortable. Epictetus's image of the philosophy school as a place of pain comes to mind.
That's a stark image, isn't it? He really stressed that. The philosopher's school isn't a spa, it's a doctor's office, a hospital for souls.
Wow.
And he warned students, don't expect to leave feeling pleased and comfortable. You should leave feeling in pain like you've just had surgery. The philosophy is meant to be a kind of therapeutic shock. It's designed to wake you up, to shatter your complacency.
A surgeon for the soul. That's intense. But it feels so different from modern ideas about therapy, which often seem to prioritize comfort, maybe validation. How is that old school confrontational approach actually helpful? Doesn't it just risk making people feel bad?
It's a fair question. But it boils down to the method he used, which goes back to Socrates. Epictetus called it elenctic.
Elenctic.
Yeah, it means interrogative, examinational, refutative. The point isn't to shame the person, but to expose the flaws in their opinions, their beliefs.
Oh, okay.
The goal is to cross-examine what you think you know, especially about values, until you're forced to see the contradictions in your own life. You might say, oh yeah, externals don't matter, but then you have a meltdown when your flight is canceled. The elenctic method just holds up a mirror to that gap.
So the pain is the discomfort of realizing, hang on, My actions don't match my supposed beliefs. My life is built on some shaky, maybe even ignorant foundations.
Precisely. AA long points out that real progress, real prokopê, only starts after you achieve that awareness of your own confusion or ignorance. If you think you've got it all figured out, why would you change?
Right. The doctor has to show you the illness before you accept the treatment.
Exactly. The process is meant to sort of purge the false opinions, to leave you thinking, okay, now I know what I actually know, which is often realizing you knew a lot less than you thought. That uncomfortable realization. That's the starting line for genuine, committed progress.
Okay, if that sometimes painful self-awareness is step one, what's the day-to-day, minute-to-minute practice? What's the core tool for actually making that progress? It seems to start with mastering our own choices, what Epictetus calls our core autonomy, the dichotomy of control.
This is absolutely the bedrock. Everything rests on this. Epictetus hammers home, really, 4 key things about our volition, our power of choice, prohairesis.
Okay, what are they?
1, our reason can look at itself. It's reflexive. 2, this faculty of reason is our most precious gift because it lets us decide how to use all the impressions, all the thoughts that hit us.
Right.
3, nature, or God, gave us complete autonomy over this power of choice. It's the one thing that's totally ours. We are sovereign over our judgment.
Complete autonomy.
And 4, crucially, this autonomy could not, by definition, be extended to things outside our mind, our bodies, our reputations, our stuff, other people. Those things just aren't structured the same way.
Wait a second. If we have complete autonomy over our volition, our choices, why do we constantly feel so out of control, like our moods and judgments just run away with us?
Great question. It's because we're constantly trying to use our prohairesis, our power of choice, on things outside its proper domain. We try to control the uncontrollable.
Like trying to force someone to like us or guarantee a project succeeds?
Exactly. Epictetus used this powerful metaphor. Zeus, or nature, basically says, look, I couldn't make your flimsy body or your possessions truly free or invulnerable. So instead, I gave you a piece of myself, this power of judgment, of choice. That's your sphere. Our frustration, our anxiety comes from getting confused about what's truly ours and what isn't.
Okay, give us a really clear, maybe modern example. Let's say I get laid off from my job. Where does my volition, my prohairesis, actually operate there?
Great example. You have zero control over the layoff itself. That's the external event. It's not yours in the Stoic sense.
Right.
But you have total control over how you interpret the impression of being laid off.
The story I tell myself about it.
Precisely. You can judge it as a catastrophe, proof that you're worthless, which will lead straight to suffering, anxiety, maybe depression. Or you can judge it as simply a change in circumstances, maybe even an opportunity to find something better, something more aligned with your values. That judgment preserves your inner peace, your equanimity.
So the divine command, as Epictetus put it, is basically stick to your knitting. Focus only on what's truly yours.
You got it. Keep by every means what is your own, which means your fidelity to reason, your sense of honor, your appropriate shame. And do not desire what belongs to others, the job, the money, the reputation. Because trying to grab what isn't yours risks losing the only thing that is truly yours, your own good character, your peace of mind.
That immediately shifts the battlefield, doesn't it? It moves from the external world to the internal world of the mind. And specifically to that constant, relentless task of challenging our own interpretations. The sources seem to say the philosopher's main daily job isn't deep contemplation, but this constant vigilance over incoming thoughts or impressions.
Yes, absolutely central. The primary function, day in, day out, is to test and discriminate between these mental impressions, fantasia they call them, and to accept none that hasn't been properly tested against reason and virtue.
And these impressions, they cover everything.
Everything from basic sensory input, that's a coffee cup, to really complex value judgments. Being wealthy is the most important thing, or public speaking is terrifying.
But why is testing them so critical? Most of the time, if something seems true, we just accept it, right?
Because apparent truth is very often moral falsehood. A. Long explains this really well. The untrained person, the non-prokopton, the person not making progress, just naturally goes along with whatever impression seems plausible or feels strong.
Like, if I feel slighted, then I was slighted.
Right. The impression that person disrespected me feels true. So you react with anger, defensiveness, resentment, even if the slight was completely unintentional, or you misread the situation entirely.
Ah, I see.
The Stoic practitioner, however, understands that judging these impressions, deciding what they really mean, what value to assign them that, is the critical test. That's where your character is forged or broken. If you blindly accept the impression, gossiping about my colleague is fun and harmless, you undermine your integrity. If you accept this pain is unbearable, you give away your power.
This makes me think of Marcus Aurelius. Here's an emperor, arguably the most powerful man in the world externally, yet his writings are full of him turning this practice inward. He had specific techniques for challenging these value judgments, didn't he? Almost like an ancient cognitive therapy.
He was a master of it. He practiced what scholar John Sellers calls objective description, or sometimes decatastrophizing. The goal was always to strip away the layer of emotional judgment or inflated value we add to things.
How did he do it?
He'd look at something, especially something that might tempt him or upset him, and describe it in purely physical, neutral terms. So that fancy feast, he'd remind himself it's just the dead body of a pig or a fish or a fowl.
Not exactly appetizing.
Or that fancy wine, just fermented grape juice, flattery from a courtier, merely vibrations in the air hitting his eardrum.
He wasn't trying to be cynical or ruin the fun, was he? This was psychological work.
Exactly. It was mental surgery. He was deliberately severing the attributed value, the desire, the fear, the pride, from the material reality of the thing itself. He did this with luxury goods, reminding himself that a purple robe is just sheep's wool dyed with shellfish gore. He did it with status symbols, even with sex, describing it clinically.
And death, too, right?
Yes, seeing it as just a natural process, a dissolution of elements. The point was always the pain, the pleasure, the importance, the scariness. That's all stuff we add with our judgment. It's not inherent in the thing itself. Practicing this ensures the only thing you truly value is the quality of your own response, your own judgment.
Okay, so the journey requires this intense mental training, this constant vigilance, but the sources also seem to insist that the path itself needs difficulty, that adversity isn't just something to be endured with these tools, but something almost required. Seneca saying that too much good fortune is actually bad for us seems so counterintuitive.
Seneca was perhaps the most vocal champion of this idea. He genuinely argued that uninterrupted ease, excessive good fortune, is like a curse. Why? Because it makes us soft, lazy, complacent, ungrateful, greedy.
Without challenges, our virtue muscles never get work.
Exactly, they atrophy. He saw constant ease as the real misfortune because it leaves us totally unprepared for the inevitable bumps in the road, the hardships that life will throw at us eventually.
So adversity isn't a punishment from the gods, it's philosophical weightlifting. It's the opportunity.
Precisely. Adversity is the only real chance we get to actually develop and demonstrate virtues like courage, patience, resilience, endurance. Seneca used that brilliant analogy. A good general doesn't send rookie recruits into the toughest part of the battle. He sends his best, most seasoned soldiers. So if nature or God or the universe sends you a tough challenge, illness, loss, betrayal, the Stoic interpretation isn't why me. It's, okay, I've been chosen for this mission. This is my chance to show my strength, to practice my principles. It completely reframes suffering.
That's a powerful reframe. So when it comes to actual physical suffering, chronic pain, illness, injury, how does the Stoic apply these tools, the judgment testing, the character building?
Marcus Aurelius, again, gives very direct, practical advice here. He constantly reminded himself that pain itself is neither unendurable nor everlasting. If, and this is the key part, if you consciously keep its limits in mind, don't let your imagination run wild and make it bigger than it is.
Right. Don't add the mental catastrophizing layer onto the physical sensation.
Exactly that. You have to isolate the raw sensation from the story you tell yourself about the sensation. The physical feeling might be intense, yes. But the real source of the upset, the suffering, is often the judgment. This is unbearable. This will never end. My life is ruined.
The pain is tolerable if we remember our attitude towards it is the real problem.
That's the core insight. Robertson highlights this in his work on Marcus. You need to mentally quarantine the pain. Recognize its boundaries. Remind yourself, my mind doesn't have to be injured unless it chooses to be. You're not just enduring the pain, you are enduring your judgment of the pain. The goal is to endure only the physical sensation, stripping away all the added mental panic and despair.
This whole system feels incredibly practical, designed for immediate, daily use. If the journey is all about this incremental progress, prokopê, and this constant vigilance over judgments, how do you keep track? How do you know if you're actually making progress? How does the Stoic hold themselves accountable?
The accountability loop. It's essential. The practice really culminates in the nightly review. This comes up again and again, especially emphasized by Seneca, and highlighted by modern commentators like Lopez and Pigliucci. You must end the day by examining your actions.
Like a personal performance review.
Sort of, but less about judgment and more about data collection. You ask yourself honestly, where did I slip up today? Did I give in to anger? Did I break a resolution? Did I act out of fear or greed? Did I judge someone unfairly? Was I lazy?
It's not about beating yourself up, though.
No, definitely not. It's a calm, objective audit. The goal isn't self-flagellation, it's recalibration. You identify the specific errors, the specific vices that cropped up, so you know exactly what to work on tomorrow. Were you successful in, say, not making that unnecessary purchase? Did you manage to hold your tongue instead of offering unsolicited criticism? Did you face a difficult situation with a bit more calm than last time? This nightly check-in keeps the journey active, grounded, and ensures you're actually verifying if you are, in Seneca's words, better than the worst, meaning better than your past self.
That daily review seems crucial for the short-term focus. But sustaining this difficult, frankly unending journey over years, over decades, that requires something more, right? A bigger picture, a deeper motivation that goes beyond just ticking off daily improvements. This seems to be where the cosmic perspective comes back in.
Yes, absolutely. To maintain the motivation, the philosophical resilience for the long haul, the practitioner really needs to adopt this broader cosmic view. Epictetus used the actor analogy constantly. It's such a powerful tool for acceptance.
Remind us how that works.
You have to see your life, your circumstances, as being like an actor playing a role in a grand play. The crucial part is, you, the actor, didn't write the play. You didn't choose your role, whether you're cast as a king, a slave, a parent, a soldier, someone healthy, someone chronically ill, and you certainly didn't choose how long the play lasts.
So all those external things, your job, your health, your family situation, that's just the costume, the script, the stage directions you've been given.
Exactly. Your only job, the single thing that falls under your prohairesis, your power of choice, is to play the role you've been assigned as well as you possibly can, with integrity, with virtue, with excellence. If your role is person stuck in traffic, play that role with patience and calm. If your role is person facing a major loss, play it with courage and resilience. Trying to demand a different role or complaining about the script, that's failing your one true task.
Marcus Aurelius took that idea and framed it in terms of citizenship, didn't he? Citizens of a higher city, the cosmos itself.
Yes, he really emphasized the connection between our individual role and the good of the whole. We're not just isolated actors. We are citizens of the world, cosmopolitans. Our specific contingent situation, our job, our family, our nationality, should be seen as an assignment from nature or God or the Logos.
An assignment with a purpose.
Yes, assigned specifically so we can play our proper part in the overall administration of the world, contributing to the common good. This leads directly to that core Stoic duty of social action, of working together. We're interconnected. Salzgeber highlights this. We have to direct our actions for the common welfare because we're all parts of one body.
I remember he had that great image for interdependence.
The arch of stones. It's brilliant. He said humanity is like an arch. If the individual stones try to pull apart, the whole structure collapses. They must lean on each other, press against each other, mutually supporting for the arch to stand strong and coherent. Our self-reflection isn't just for us. It enables us to be a strong, stable stone, contributing to the integrity of the whole human arch.
Okay, so the Stoic commits to this path. They focus inward, they accept their role, they work on their character daily, they aim for the common good, but they've given up chasing external rewards like wealth, fame, pleasure. So what is the reward? What's the payoff for this difficult, unending journey if it's not about getting stuff? What does all this prokopê actually yield?
The reward is internal, but it's profound. It's inner sufficiency, it's tranquility, it's apatheia, not apathy, like not caring, but freedom from being tormented by irrational passions and disturbing emotions.
Self-reliance.
Deep self-reliance. Seneca puts it starkly. The wise person makes every effort to rely as much as possible on himself and to derive all delight from within himself. Once you truly internalize that the only real good is your own virtue, your own excellent state of mind, and that the only reliable source of happiness is your own perfected judgment, well, external things just lose their grip on you. They become, relatively speaking, trivial.
And that internal state, that self-reliance, it must translate into just a simpler, maybe calmer way of experiencing daily life. Marcus Aurelius talks about this reward in very down-to-earth terms.
He really does. He says the happiness of life consists in very few things.
Yeah.
It's remarkably simple. The ultimate freedom, the real reward of all this effortful prokopê is actually available to anyone right now, regardless of their external situation.
How so?
He says, look, you might despair of ever becoming a brilliant scientist or a famous artist or a great leader. Maybe you just don't have the talent or the opportunity. Fair enough. But he insists you absolutely do not have to despair of becoming free, honorable, modest, kind to others, and resigned to the workings of nature or God.
Because those are purely internal qualities.
Exactly. They are achievements of character, entirely within the sphere of your own volition. They're available every single moment, regardless of whether you're rich or poor, sick or healthy, powerful or unknown. That's the attainable prize.
And, this idea that the core of life isn't about achieving certain outcomes, but about the ongoing dynamic process of choosing how we face whatever comes our way. That feels very resonant with some modern thinkers, too.
It absolutely connects. You think of someone like Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust and founded logotherapy.
Right. His emphasis on meaning.
Exactly.
Frankl observed, even in the most horrific circumstances imaginable, that the fundamental human freedom is the ability to choose one's attitude, one's orientation towards one's suffering. He called these attitudinal values. The meaning of life, he argued, isn't something you just find. It's something you create through your choices, especially your choice of attitude in the face of unavoidable hardship.
That sounds incredibly stoic.
It's deeply resonant. The Stoic, through the constant practice of prokopê, is doing exactly that.
Yeah.
Continuously choosing the rational, virtuous, resilient attitude. And that very act of choosing, that ongoing effort, is what generates inner freedom, enduring meaning, and tranquility, even when the external world is chaotic or painful. So it really hammers home the point. The journey never ends, not because we're doomed to fail at reaching the sage ideal, but because the discipline itself, the daily prokopê, the constant choosing to refine our character and align with reason, that is the whole point. That's what it means to live as a rational human being.
Precisely. That's the core message we have to take away. Stoicism isn't a destination. It's not an outcome you achieve once and for all. It's a daily discipline. The goal isn't the impossible sage, it's progress. Making full use of today, ensuring that in some small way you are calmer, wiser, more virtuous, more resilient than you were yesterday.
It's both the means and the end, in a way.
Yes. The perfection of virtue is, on the one hand, the necessary condition for our agency to function well, and on the other hand, it's that divine standard, that ideal that we're always moving towards, always advancing toward, even if we never fully arrive.
And we should probably remember that chilling warning Epictetus gave about what happens if you don't embark on this journey.
Oh, right. It's quite stark. He basically said the only punishment for neglecting these principles, for refusing to engage in prokopê, isn't some external wrath. It's simply that you get to stay just as they are. Meaning you remain emotionally disturbed, fundamentally discontented, enslaved by your knee-jerk reactions and false beliefs. The lack of progress is the punishment. Conversely, the progress itself, the daily effort, that is its own immediate reward. You feel it instantly in the growing sense of inner peace, control, and resilience.
So if this journey is perpetual and the reward is this inner freedom and peace of mind, it brings the focus right back to now, to this moment. What daily action, something focused purely on your own character, totally within your control, maybe challenging one negative thought, pausing before reacting in anger, expressing gratitude. What one thing are you committing to now, today, to prove to yourself that you are actively making progress on this unending but ultimately rewarding path? That's something to really think about as you continue your own deep dive into living a more philosophical life.